How's it going? This is Syx String.
Starlight Ironhoof.
Forest Rain.
And Zeta Prime.
And this is Elements of Harmony. Tonight on the show, we have Equestrian Lord, described as the most metal band within the fandom. Equestrian Lord consists of three awesomely talented bronies from Studio B territory near Vancouver, British Columbia. They are one of the very few actual bands within the fandom, and amazingly talented at that. The three members of Equestrian Lord join us here tonight. Hello, Equestrian Lord.
Hello.
Hello.
Howdy.
Hey, so we actually have...
I need to hijack quickly, okay?
What?
Because there is something that started on this show, has perpetuated across multiple podcasts that I've been on, that Sirill the Wolf has been on. I'm sure that you, Equestrian Lord, are familiar with Sirill the Wolf, correct?
Who's that guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, who's he? I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, so you guys have collaborated with him. I'm correct in saying that, right?
Yes.
The Academy wasn't just something I dreamed about.
I sure hope not. I spent like a month mixing that thing.
You guys just put his name in the title for YouTube views.
So you're really familiar with how his voice sounds.
I live to find where I belong.
Well, these people on this show and other podcasts and everyone that Sirill and I have been in a Skype chat with say that they can't tell mine and Sirill's voice apart. You guys are, you have not been indoctrinated into this. What are your opinions on that? We need to settle this score now.
Actually, now that you mention it, you actually do kind of sound like him.
Oh my god! Dang it! That backfired.
You lose!
Yes!
Okay, yes! Honestly though, I don't really hear it. I mean, I was only in like 2 Skype calls with the dude, but I don't hear it.
I just listened to the interview you guys did with him today, and now that you mention it, yeah, you kind of do sound like him.
Okay, well, that backfired. Okay.
That's right, Tim.
Sorry.
You can't hijack. Yay!
Okay.
You can't hide from who you are. You are Sirill 2.0.
Back on to topic, since we have a guest here. We have 3 members of Equestrian Lord here, which currently is all the members, but they did have a previous member. We have Razor Tongue. Yeah! Who is the lead vocals for the band. He also does guitar and pretty much everything else, including producing the tracks and all that wonderful jazz.
Programming the drums.
Yeah, programming drums, yes. We have Steel Strings.
Hey, what's up?
He's a very quiet person who likes to drink beer, and he plays guitar.
That's what life's about.
Yeah.
And we also have Midnight Melody, who is also known as Cassie or Eminem, and she plays bass.
How's it going?
Good. So, welcome to Elements of Harmony, everybody.
Well, thanks for having us.
Not a problem. And just for those that don't know, Equestrian Lord is an awesomely metal band that started just under a year ago, I guess, would be fair to say.
Yeah, February 2013. Yeah, about a year.
Yep. And, yeah, you guys have just kind of, for the people that are in the know that you guys are amazingly metal and pretty awesome, but you've only managed to gain about 600 subscribers or so far on the YouTubes. So just give us a quick background. Where does Equestrian Lord come from? How did you guys meet? All that kind of stuff.
Well, I've been into heavy metal music since I was in grade 6. The first band that I ever got into was AC/DC, and surprisingly, it their albums that I actually got into. It was actually a movie that they did. It was a movie from the 1980s called Maximum Overdrive.
Oh, I love that
Anyone
movie.
ever heard of that movie?
Yes.
Yeah, it's this really stupid movie directed by Stephen King where these trucks come to life and start killing people. But
I still need to see it.
That sounds great.
But AC/DC did the soundtrack for it, and I picked up the soundtrack and I fell in love with it. And I've been into heavy metal ever since. But I didn't start watching My Little Pony until I think it was my first year of college, or the summer right before I went into college. So I kind of never really put two and two together until I started going to college, and I was like, oh, wouldn't that be kind of silly, you know, having a metal band that sings about ponies? Oh, wouldn't that be so silly and stupid? And then I heard the song "Fight for the Crystal Empire" by Sirill the Wolf and Bronyfied, and I was like, you can actually do that? So,
oh, it's such a beautiful song.
I know it's so amazing. It's way better than anything we've ever done, I personally think. Anyway,
we'll touch on that.
Yeah. So anyway, I was kind of like, okay, I gotta try putting a song together, and first I think I first approached Merlin, who was the only other brony in my class, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking of starting a pony power metal band. Would you be interested in joining? And he said sure. And then I approached Diego, Steel Strings here, and I don't think I even told him about the pony thing until after we did the first song, which was Discord's Lament. So we worked on that song, and that was actually a song we worked on as like a project for school. And after it was done, I was like, "Oh, by the way, this is based on a character from My Little Pony. Are you okay with that?" And he went, "Yeah, sure." So we've pretty much been doing. We've been recording one song at a time, basically taking a month to maybe 2 months, 2 months tops, recording one song at a time, releasing them on YouTube, and then we just recently got the mastered CD done. So we're hoping to release that sometime in the next coming months.
Referring,
So,
of course,
yeah.
to your new album.
Yes, it's called Revenge of the Herd.
Ooh.
Yes.
I have a quick question.
Yes?
This is for Steel Strings. You said you didn't tell him until after the first song that this was about ponies. How do you feel about it now?
Oh, now it's quite different. But I gotta say, because at first I remember when Eric showed me the lyrics. That we talk about making the song and all this. I mean, I'll pray, kind of like power metal, speed trash. Then that's what I really like. This sounds amazing. And he showed me these lyrics, and actually I almost cried. It was like, oh man, this is so deep. Inside of me, it was like, this song is deep, man. I was suffering and stuff. And then he was like, later on, I found out it's like about ponies. Like, what? It was it was quite interesting. But it took me back to my past, because when I was younger, like maybe kind of like sixth grade, something like that, I used to have this album. It's a Mexican band called Liquids, and they had this song I really like called "The Race of the Six Ponies." It wasn't like childish, it was like Spanish rock, like Spanish rock musicians really smoke weed, so they get these crazy songs. So probably I connected with that. So I don't know, man. It's kind of interesting. I'm fine with this. It's pretty fun.
All right, yeah, man, that's pretty cool. It's cool to see that this kind of brought you into the herd, and it kind of had a connection with your past. That's very interesting. Thank you.
We kind of roped him into the brony fandom against his will, almost.
But it all seemed to work out pretty well.
Yeah, he likes the show now. I think he describes it as cutesy Looney Tunes. Is that what you said it was? Yeah.
Well, that's a good comparison.
It really is.
Yeah.
So, how much of a brony are you now, Diego? Like, do you watch the episodes every week or anything like that?
Well, I always wear a ponytail, but I don't know if that really counts.
That counts as swag.
Yeah.
It was quite easy to watch the series at first, because I just moved. I used to live with my auntie. She's in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of twin cousins. The little girls, like 7 years old, they are hardcore My Little Pony fans. They're like, okay, girls, show me all what it's about. Like, let's watch all the episodes on Netflix. And it was pretty fun. Like I told Eric, it's like cute little tunes, like colors are pretty cool. I don't know, I wasn't expecting this, but I don't know, to say that I'm a brony, I can't get there. I try, man, but I'm here for the music and some of the colors, but yeah, not
Some of the colors.
I can't get.
The colors are a big part of it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Make you feel happy inside. You guys already mentioned AC/DC. Do you want to talk about a little bit more of your influences? Because the song with Sirill, actually.
The Academy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of influences from stuff like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden. At least that's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, definitely. Personally, for me, more so Judas Priest than Iron Maiden. I'm a bigger Priest fan, but that's just me. So yeah, AC/DC was the first hard rock band that I ever got into. And then it kind of just got heavier and heavier from there. I started with AC/DC, then went to Aerosmith, and then stuff like Van Halen. And I think the one night where my taste shifted from rock to metal was one concert I went to back in 2006. I was a huge Aerosmith fan, and I went to go see Aerosmith and Motley Crue in Vancouver, and Aerosmith sucked. They were terrible. They were awful. It was one of the worst concerts I've ever seen, but Motley Crue were awesome. They blew Aerosmith off stage. So
That's awesome.
So yeah, after that night, I kind of got into more Motley Crue, and from there I went into stuff like Metallica and Slayer, Iron Maiden. So it kind of went from there.
What about Cassie?
The way I kind of got introduced to these guys is I actually saw their ad on Craigslist looking for a bassist, and they said that they were in a brony power metal band, and I'm a huge power metal fan, but I am not, my musical taste compared to Razor Tongues are pretty different. When I listen to power metal, I'm more into modern power metal. So stuff like Nightwish, Amaranth, Camelot.
I'm all about the 80s shit, man.
Yeah,
Oh man, I love the 80s stuff.
Okay, who said that Nightwish wasn't metal? Like, I was talking to them before the show. Someone said Nightwish wasn't metal.
Who said that? I will go and pop their kneecaps.
Please don't hurt me, Tim.
Yeah.
Wait, Infinite, did
It was you?
Our executive producer of a music show said Nightwish isn't metal. You know what? I'm going to tell Anili Heed that you said that.
Yeah, so like as I said, I'm not really into the old stuff. Playing with this band is basically the first experience that I really have playing with like sort of 80s thrash kind of stuff. So my influences mainly are Dream Theater. I'm really into progressive stuff. John Mayung is definitely my largest role model in terms of bass playing.
Dream Theater is like my favorite band.
Yeah, I'm
awesome.
actually going to see them when they come to Vancouver.
Aww. Moving on to Diego too. Any influences?
All right. I guess the first metal stuff I was listening to, I must say, was kind of like Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park. Yeah, that was on TV and the radio. It was like, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I wasn't really listening to the voices, but the heaviness of it. Like there's some really, really good stuff in Linkin Park's music. I still believe. But then, yeah, I think the turning point for me was the movie School of Rock. You seen that one?
That is a
one of my
good
favorite
movie.
movies ever.
Yeah,
That's actually my intro movie to metal for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is, because well, Jack Black, of course, the way he speaks about rock and all that, is like, what's it all about? Here's some songs, and then you pick up Black Sabbath records, Deep Purple, and you find all this amazing stuff, and you want to play those on guitar. So that's when I got my guitar, start playing these riffs, and you move on into the more, of course, Metallica. It's like I think we all meet there, all the metalheads.
Mm-hmm.
And then you become like a music junkie, looking for music every day, different bands. You get, it's a very long story, man, but
Diego's a huge Blind Guardian fan.
Dude, yes, I love Blind Guardian. Okay, quick story about Blind Guardian. I saw them live, and I'm a metal vocalist myself, and Hansi Kursch is like a huge influence on me. And he comes out onto stage, scans the audience, and I'm sitting there staring him in the eyes, and our eyes meet, and they're just like hung for 20 seconds while the intro to their song is playing, And then I just start nodding, and he starts nodding, and it was awesome.
So did you get invited up onto stage, and did you sing it, or did he just nod at you?
I should have tried. I don't know. No, that probably wouldn't have gone well.
Get on with it!
Well, it was more of a nodding like, okay, yeah, this crowd has energy type nod.
Oh.
I have to say, this is definitely one of the most humbling interviews ever, because we're spending this whole time talking about other bands.
Well, you know what? This is how metal goes. And actually, I just want to say this quickly, Diego, that's actually a lot of how I got into metal because, well, I grew up in a Christian family, and I mean, I am Christian, but they were all only orchestral music or Christian music, and then my friends were listening to like Korn and Limp Bizkit and that stuff, and I was like, this is more of what I want, but it's not quite what I want. And then I heard Ozzy, but then I didn't know that that was metal. Then went back to the Limp Bizkit and Korn for a while, and then it was like, here's Metallica, Iron Maiden, Dream Theater, and I was like, yes.
I feel really guilty because, like, the reason that I like Dream Theater, I kind of owe it to Guitar Hero, and I feel really bad for that.
That's not bad. A lot of people learn about stuff through Guitar Hero. I learned about Slayer through Guitar Hero, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah. I knew about them before. I didn't actually like listen to them. My brother did, and I was like, ugh. When I was like 4.
I'm kind of proud to say that I've never owned Guitar Hero Rock Band.
It consumes your soul.
Just throwing that out there.
Although, as a guitar player, it starts to screw you up. If you learn a song on guitar, it's like impossible to go back to Guitar Hero.
Yeah, actually it is. And it's even worse because I'm left-handed.
Oh.
So playing Guitar Hero left-handed upside down is the worst.
I've always had that problem with it too.
You're lefty?
No, not the left-handed thing, but just like the Guitar Hero thing where I can't play it because I'm too used to playing actual instruments.
Mm-hmm.
I can do the singing though. Singing's great.
Yeah, I actually really love the singing. It got me practicing like 3 hours a day because I wanted to just sing all the time.
It helps you get your intonation because if you're pitchy, it'll pick it up.
Well, intonation's actually my strongest point, so.
To kind of backtrack a little bit, you guys talked about that there used to be another member of your band. Did you guys want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, sure. The basic premise was he was in the band since the very beginning. But he's an excellent Merlin is a really, really good dubstep musician. Like, I've heard some of the dubstep stuff that he's done. Sounds fantastic. He's actually one of the main composers on Crisis Equestria, that new audio play that's coming out.
Okay.
And I've heard some of the stuff that he did for that, and it was amazing. So he was kind of putting all of his focus into that stuff. And then he would come to band practice and he would like not know how to play any of our songs, and we'd have to show him how to play it. And then he'd come back the next week and we'd have to start all over again, like he wouldn't know it again. So we basically just went to a mutual agreement where, that seems to be the dubstep composing stuff seems to be your strongest suit, and that seems to be what you're putting the most effort into. So
do you guys still keep in good contact?
Oh yeah.
I actually work with him, so.
Okay, yeah, so.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What do you do with Merlin?
At work.
You like actually physically work with them?
Yeah, they work at the same place.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Yeah, I thought we were still talking about music.
We live in the fandom world where work doesn't exist.
Well, really? What's that?
We both work in a kitchen in the same pub. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, you had an interesting story about your kitchen, actually. Not your kitchen at home, but your kitchen at work.
Yeah. It was like a week after I started working there, and I was a brony at that point, but I wasn't like I didn't follow conventions. I still don't really follow conventions all that much, so I had no idea that BronyCam was happening, and I have like a lot of pony gear and stuff. I always wear pony t-shirts.
Yeah, she has like 30 pony shirts. It's ridiculous.
Oh wow.
I think I literally wear more pony shirts than I do actual shirts. But yeah, so basically I walked into work wearing, I think it was like a Pinkie Pie shirt, and everyone else there, like all the customers, everyone was like, dressed up in either, t-shirts or complete, like some were dressed up as in complete furs and stuff like that. So, I just kind of, made my way into the staff room and said hi to my sous chef, and she just looked at me and gasped and was like, "Oh my god, you're one of them." and then she told me that I lost points with her.
Oh,
so,
no.
You lose points.
No.
Yeah.
That ain't fair.
Yeah.
So mean.
And she still bugs me about it. So, and she always tells me that looking at me, like knowing that I'm like this huge My Little Pony fan, she would never ever guess that I played in like a metal band.
Or a pony metal band.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
Just to shows that metal and bronies are normal people too.
Okay, you know what? The
Yeah.
two most metal mythical creatures are dragons and unicorns. Both are in the show.
That's actually one of the main draws for me for the show, is that the setting of the show is just perfect for power metal lyrics.
It is.
Like, perfect.
Right?
More metal than a Leviathan.
I actually, that was one of the things that also drew me to the show, and I noticed that the early fandom, January 2011, most people I talked to that were bronies and watching the show were into power metal.
Yeah, exactly, right?
And it's the perfect setting. Unicorns, Pegasus, dragons, manticores.
Yeah, because power metal is usually all about, slay the dragon and rescue the princess.
Yep.
So it's kind of just a natural transition,
It really is.
And how a lot of people in the fandom want to actually slay the dragon.
Yeah.
Poor Spike. Poor Spike.
He's
just
a baby
Oh, wait,
dragon.
you guys are talking about Spike? I love Spike.
He's way better as a dog, though, right?
No.
Seriously, he was so
Why
adorable
does
as a dog,
everyone
and he
hate
was.
Spike so much?
I'm pretty neutral on Spike.
Yeah,
I like him so much, I wrote a song about him.
I did notice when you were trying to do a Sirill impersonation earlier, you were singing his song about Spike.
That's about Spike?
The Somewhere I Belong? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's about Spike.
You can easily tell which one of ours is about Spike because it has dragon in the title.
Yeah.
To go to something that has absolutely nothing to do with dragons or unicorns, we're going to take a quick break and go to one of Equestrian Lord's songs, Changeling Swarm / Chrysalis. You're listening to Elements of Harmony on Everfree. Alright, so that was Changeling Swarm / Chrysalis from our guest today, Equestrian Lord. And actually, that song reminded me that there's one thing I noticed that is really interesting in some of the tracks that you guys do, is that you do some play with soundscapes, especially at the beginning of Changeling Swarm. And it was something that really struck me as being super unique and very well done. And I was just wondering if... is there any kind of specific inspiration that went into that, or is there, is there any influences that influence that, or is anything interesting revolving around that, or the production of the effect at the beginning of Changeling Swarm at all?
Well, first of all, that was Merlin.
Oh wow, the guy that's no longer around, and we're not interviewing. Okay, great.
yeah, great, right? Yeah, he composed the intro. He actually composes a lot of the ambient sound effect stuff in our band. That's what he was best at, because he's a dubstep guy, right? So he's really good at like making really weird noises and sounds and stuff and incorporating them in. I still don't really have any idea of what he did to make that. I'm actually kind of teaching myself how to do ambient noises and stuff to kind of fill in the void that he left. But yeah, as far as that goes, I was actually, he was composing, right before he left, he was composing something for our new song that we're working on, which isn't pony related. It's a song based on a movie I used to watch all the time called The Thief and the Cobbler. I was standing right behind him as he made this intro, and it was basically just going into Logic Pro, going through all the different loops and stuff that they have available, and this new song we're writing is very Middle Eastern based, so there's a lot of like sitar stuff and like Middle Eastern scales. So I was like, you got to find some kind of sitar sound effect or something. So he just kind of browsed through all the little loops and stuff that were available. We found something that sounded kind of like a sitar, not really, kind of, sorta, and he just kind of looped it, and he went in and found what sounds like some Middle Eastern guy going and just kind of mixed that into. Don't know where he got that from, but still not sure where he got that from. But yeah, so it's in regards to that, it's pretty much just finding clips or little audio clips of sound effects that you want and just kind of incorporating them in until you have kind of a beat or something like that. Yeah.
The soundscape thing is really cool because in that song, it really gives you, or it really sets the mood very well.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, that's going to be the first song on the album.
Nice.
So.
I like it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
He's good.
The other thing I noticed too is that a lot of your videos feature like slideshows of a bunch of different pictures.
Yeah. Well, it kind of just started out because the very first video that we posted was Discord's Lament, and that was just a still image of our logo, if you want to call it that. And so it was just 8 minutes of just staring at our logo, and I was like, wow, that's really boring. The next song that we posted was Canterlot's Fall, which is over 10 minutes long, and I was like, okay, people aren't gonna want to just stare at our logo for 10 whole minutes while listening to the song. Let's find some pictures or something. So I just went on DeviantArt and tried looking at some cool pony pictures and just kind of incorporated them in, kind of had them so that they changed every couple minutes. There's no real like rhyme or reason to them, just whatever. If the song's about Chrysalis, I'll put pictures up about Chrysalis. If the song is about King Sombra, I'll just find some cool pictures of King Sombra and just kind of put a slideshow to it and like be like, oh, I only have 3 pictures, okay, we'll just put 3 pictures up. And yeah, that's about it. I always put the links to the artwork in the description, so I hope that's okay.
Well, you haven't been yelled at yet, right?
No, surprisingly not.
There you go.
You're using my artwork in this video.
For us laymen who have no idea what the various types of metal are and believe that Avenged Sevenfold is a metal band, explain to us what power metal is and why it's significant to the show.
It's all F sharp chords.
Yeah. Power metal is basically Dungeons and Dragons metal.
That actually makes it kind of alluring now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Steel bikinis and dragons, dude.
yes, it's heavy metal that's played at a moderately fast tempo. The lead singer is usually like actually singing, like not doing any growls or grunting, like actually singing in a clean voice with falsettos and everything, like the all that stuff. Sometimes they'll have keyboards doing like orchestral elements. The lyrics are usually based on famous works of fiction, or just made up fantastical lands and singing about riding horses and slaying dragons and sitting around the round table. So it's medieval metal. It's basically just medieval metal that you'd listen to at medieval times or something like that.
Think Dio Holy Diver.
Yes, that is a power metal album.
Just to quickly expand upon that, it was really born out of being an answer to the death metal genre gaining a lot of steam, which started with Venom and all that.
Yeah, actually, I think power metal came up before death metal. I think it was in the 80s. It was power metal. It started out with thrash. I know that thrash metal was like the start of all the extreme stuff that people listen to now. Thrash started, and it kind of dominated the underground scene, and all the other genres kind of like branched off of thrash metal. Like
Venom kind of started both death and black metal in a sense, and they started in the 79, and the first two power metal bands were really Blind Guardian and Halloween in 85.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It was kind of an answer to the takeoff of growling vocals. However, death metal itself didn't necessarily formulate until a little later, I suppose, but the foundations for it were kind of there already.
Okay, so speaking of singing really high with power metal and all that, Sirill sings really high. So how was collaborating with him?
Oh, it was great. I thought it was going to be like a huge hassle because I'd never collaborated with anyone online before, but it was... I actually probably made it a bit more complicated than it needed to be because I sent him each individual instrument as an MP3 when I could have just sent him just an instrumental version of the whole song. But yeah, it was
Overkill.
awesome. It was pretty much overkill. So I just talked to him over Facebook. I think this was after I'd introduced him to the band and showed him Canterlot's Fall. So he was really down to do a song with us. And I sent him the stuff over Dropbox, and he came back, I think, just a couple days later. It all sounded great, so I mixed it in.
And
yeah,
really?
And also something really funny, actually. When he sent me back the folder with all of his vocal takes, there was one MP3 where he sings the chorus in like this extremely high falsetto. I don't even know if you can really hear it in the song. It's mixed in... like kind of buried in the mix, but there's one part where he sings the chorus like with this crazy falsetto, and the MP3 was labeled "Sirill cuts his balls off."
That sounds like Sirill.
Yeah,
I have to say too,
great.
in asking Sirill about you guys before the interview, he said that you guys have a great guitarist, which, from what I understand, is both you and Diego.
It kind of changes between me and Diego and Merlin when he was in the band.
And he also said that you, Razor, have an amazingly high range.
Oh, thank you.
What is your range, actually? Like, do you know note to note?
No idea. I can sing high, and that's about all I know. I've never taken any vocal lessons at all.
Okay.
Nothing. Like, I think the most I've ever gotten is back when I took guitar lessons. My guitar teacher showed me a couple pointers, but that's about it.
The classical musician in me says you should take vocal lessons, but the part of me that loves Dio says keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like Feather.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and honestly, a vocal teacher, like, it's great to start out with a vocal teacher because they teach you that accuracy and stuff like that, but then you kind of mold your sound and the way that you intonate the notes, and that makes your voice your own. You kind of end up doing that later, and it's almost the job of a vocal teacher to break that down and give you like the most basic level of voice that you can have.
Yeah.
And then like you build off of that, but they want to start you out with good habits. So if you start already with habits, I don't know if they'd actually like let you keep those, or if like the exercises that you do, you might start losing them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because sometimes I do know that I'm doing the technique wrong because it hurts sometimes. Like when I'm in rehearsals, I'll have to sing extra loud to hear myself over the PA, and that's not good because it actually does physically hurt. So it's kind of on and off when it comes to the technique. It's kind of either I do it right or I do it wrong.
I remember when I saw you guys on Facebook, one of your influences was actually marked as Sirill. So when you guys started talking to each other about a collab, just how did that feel to be collaborating with one of the musicians that you were listening to early on in the fandom?
Euphoria.
Did you guys geek out?
Oh yeah, definitely. I did, at least. Cassie wasn't in the band yet, so I don't know about her. She was probably cooking somewhere.
Yeah, like I definitely I'd love to meet him someday, and I've heard the song. Obviously, I've never talked to him personally, but I know that he's like a bass player too, right? Yep. So I'd love to have like a bass off with him or something.
Totally. He's a really good bass player.
Yep. What's it like to write as a band versus writing solo?
Well, the thing is how we would normally do it is one of us would kind of come up with a riff, like maybe Steel Strings would have like this cool riff or something that he's been working on, and then he'd bring that to rehearsal, and then he just kind of played that, and we get him to play it on like a bit of a loop or something, and then I try to write my part to it and see if we can kind of get a good jam out of it. And then usually Razor Tongue would have like some lyrics already kind of archived, and
always writing lyrics.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe he would have something that he could fit to that sort of vibe that the song has. So, and it kind of, everything kind of comes naturally. I've been playing a lot of catch-up since I'm pretty new to the band. I've been learning a lot of like, some of the songs that they have already written. But we do have a couple projects going where I'm actually playing bass in. So
she's the best musician in this whole band, by the way, by like a long shot. She's the best musician out of all three of us. Yeah, something really I think is really cool is that she has two sister princess basses. She has two 6-string basses. One of them is black, one of them is white, and she has a Luna cutie mark sticker and a Celestia cutie mark sticker on each of them. And she
That's awesome.
she calls one Luna and the other one Celestia.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
That's really awesome.
That's pretty
That
sweet.
just makes your band all the more cooler.
Have you guys ever performed live before together?
Unfortunately, no. We have not done a single live show yet because we don't have a drummer.
You don't need one. They can be
I know,
programmed.
You need a mini fridge with your drum machine sitting on it.
Why do you keep going back to the fridge? Is that like a meme or something?
No, it's because that's the best part of any band.
Syx is trying to make something a meme before he leaves forever.
It's because secretly I am a mini fridge.
The mini fridge does keep your beer cold.
Yes. So yeah, we've been thinking about just playing a couple shows with just a drum machine because that's how we rehearse right now. Is I just have the MP3s, just the drum tracks as an MP3 on my iPod, and we just plug it into the PA and just jam along to that. So we're thinking if worse comes to worse and we can't find a drummer in time for, say, the summer 2014, we'll just say screw it and just start playing some shows with a drum machine. I'll be down with that.
On that note, we are going to go ahead and listen to some of the excellent drum machine work in Canterlot's Fall by Equestrian Lord here on Elements of Harmony on Everfree Network. That was Equestrian Lord with Canterlot's Fall.
My favorite song.
It was actually the first song I heard from you guys. I heard it when
Really?
it was posted to Equestria Daily.
That was also the first song that got on Equestria Daily.
Yes, it was. And now talking about that song, I mean, it's like over 10 minutes. There's a lot of interesting recording things you guys do since it's a full band. How about you guys talk a little bit about your recording rigs?
Okay, my gear basically, I have this guitar, like, it's my first, like, on guitar that doesn't hurts, that it feels comfortable to play and everything. It's my beloved Kelly. Maybe you've seen it, at least, I haven't uploaded any pictures, but I used to put that picture as my cutie mark, actually. So I really like the guitar. I know I may have some problems with the Jackson company, so maybe I won't be using that picture. But pretty much I just have to use a guitar. I like playing in drop B, which is kind of low, but you can play a lot of really heavy chords when you need to and play like very trashy ones. Yeah, it's like a very versatile way to play.
Real quick, what gauge strings do you use?
I like 9 to 45.
Really, 9s?
Yeah, I know a lot of people are surprised because for drop B it's kind of light.
Yeah.
But it really sounds good because also I have the EMG pickups, the active ones.
Mhm.
So they catch like any sound you put, any sound they get it right for metal, at least in my opinion, through any amp. Yeah, like in amps I don't really have an amp. We record everything through the DI and we blend all the stuff there.
And just real quickly, how do you record the guitar? Do you go through any kind of like modeling amp or anything like that, or is it all real amplifiers just recorded with microphone?
We have a Focusrite USB interface here. It's actually what I'm using to record right now with my microphone.
This show is
which
brought
one?
to you by Focus, right?
Yeah, I know,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
most of us are
we're all using
Focusrites,
Focusrite.
actually.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't use any actual amps or anything like that. It's all done in the box. It's all mixed on my laptop. Yeah. So we run the guitar through the Focusrite interface into my laptop, and I have this plugin called, I think it's called SoftTube. It has a whole different bunch of amp combinations and racks and stacks and stuff like that. So we try to go for the most metal sounding amp that's available. I think we usually use Metal Amp Room. Specifically, I think it's the Dagobah setting. There's like a one setting that we always use that sounds really, really awesome, and that's like our go-to guitar setting.
Can you call it the Dagobah system?
Maybe. I guess so.
Okay, for my two main basses, I use a Douglas WO826, which is Celestia, and I also have my Ibanez GSR, I don't even remember, 256 or something, and I use my Douglas mainly for drop C tunings, which I use most of the time in the band, and Luna I use more for like standard drop A and drop C type tunings. For strings, I play Ernie Ball. I go 130 to 32 gauge, and my recording is basically the same as Diego's, except I run through an M audio into Guitar Rig.
Yeah, her bass tone is actually a combination of 4 different bass tones mixed together.
Jeez.
Wow.
The wonderful world
Yeah.
of recording.
I find just how natural the drum sound is in your recording really interesting. Can you tell us a little bit on how you program the drums and get that more natural sound out of it?
Yes, I am actually very, very used to recording with no drummer, because in every single band I've ever been in, that has always been the biggest problem, is finding a drummer. Like, I believe I'm inflicted with some kind of curse where I can't seem to find a drummer. I can find every musician except a drummer. I'm actually pretty lucky that I found a bass player.
Yeah.
So yeah, my drum programming days pretty much date back all the way to high school.
And actually, about that curse, I mean, the interesting thing about a drummer is they're really the timekeeper of a band. They're the most important aspect from that sense because, they're kind of your onstage metronome. And if you don't have a good chemistry with them, your band's just going to fall apart.
They also arguably have the most expensive and hardest to move gear out of all of them.
as I was saying like earlier about like how Eric wrote all the bass for like all the songs before I joined the band, and now I kind of have to relearn all of that stuff the way a guitarist would write bass. If we get a drummer now, they would kind of have to relearn all the drums the way a guitarist would write the drums. So I don't know how well that's going to go by.
I mean, it's really just one of those things when you step in, you just kind of got to make things your own.
Yeah.
I can't seem to find a good picture of the drum machine, but anyway, it was this little tiny drum machine that I had, and I would program each sequence, like each sequence was about 4 bars long. I would program like a little beat, and then I would program the drums live, because back when I was in high school, I actually recorded a whole album with my previous band on Audacity.
Oh.
I haven't released it though because it sounds like total crap. But yeah, it was with my thrash band called Morbid Sanctum, and we wrote such colorful titles as Chainsaw Sodomy. And Dominatrix with 3 X's. Dominatrix.
Oh, excellent.
Yes, excellent. So yeah. What I would do is I would program the drums live. So I would have the drum machine hooked up to the microphone input in the back of my PC on Windows XP, and I would just hit record on Audacity, and I would just kind of have the sequence going, and then I'd have to program the next sequence in at exactly the right moment. So I'd be like, okay, I'd be counting down 1, 2, 3, 4. Next sequence in 3, 2, 1, go, and I would have to plug it in, and then to cover up the fact that it was switching to another sequence, I would have to hit the cymbal button. So like,
Wow.
yeah, so it was very, very primitive back then. So I've kind of been programming drums ever since I started recording music. So that's kind of one of my strongest suits. And in terms of what you said earlier, making the drums sound realistic, I think it's down to just my techniques have improved a lot, because I don't even really use a drum machine anymore. I just use all MIDI. I have a separate MIDI track for each drum, like one for the kick, one for the snare. Actually, I have the snare drum that we use is actually a combination of 2 different snares mixed together.
Okay.
And yeah, so having that control, having like each drum separated into a different track, kind of gives you the control to kind of tweak it as much as you want until you have the perfect sound, you know?
When you record them, do you actually play them through a MIDI keyboard or through a drum machine in order to get that that sort of variance in velocity?
See, the funny thing is, I actually do have a MIDI keyboard, like a small one that I bought for $50, but I barely ever use it. I usually just go into Logic Pro, which is the program I use to record because I have a Mac, and I just go to the MIDI window or the piano roll window, and I just input the notes manually with just a pencil tool, just with my mouse, just click, just draw them in, click, go back, listen to the drum pattern, and then I actually I have a set velocity for each instrument. I think the kick drum is usually 125. Yeah, there's actually not a lot of variation in terms of velocity. It's usually, if you listen to the snare, it's very consistent. It doesn't get any louder or any softer. In most of the songs, it's usually just a consistent volume.
In your transition from drum machine to MIDI, what kind of drum software are you using? Are you using like Drum Kit from Hell, Easy Drummer? What are you using?
I'm not even really using a drum program. It's just upload the basic drum presets that are in Logic. Like for the kick drum track, I'll just go to Logic Drums, just go to the presets that they have built in and just try to find a good sounding kick. Or like, I think...
Wow.
Oh, so you're like legitimately writing like with MIDI instruments, like you're not using a step sequencer or anything?
Putting the instruments in by hand.
Oh, wow.
Just writing all the MIDI by hand.
Logic's not too bad, actually. Like Logic
is my best
Logic's a
friend.
really good program for songwriters, and that was the thing that was pushed.
It's very user friendly.
It was pushed for me when I was in college. Was that if you wanted to be a composer and compose stuff so that you have good control over MIDI and everything, use Logic, because Logic has the most versatility so far as a good sound when you're actually doing mock-ups for stuff, and also great MIDI capabilities so far as what you can do so far as actually outputting score and stuff like that, or just modifying the MIDI in general.
Yeah.
And that was something that Pro Tools took a long time to catch up to.
I hated Pro Tools for the longest time.
I can't use anything but Pro Tools because it was banged into my head throughout all of college.
When you guys actually write with drums, like, if a real drummer was to try to pick this up and learn it, would they need 6 arms? Or do you actually, do you write it from the standpoint that you're like, someone might actually be playing this, so you don't, like, hit, I don't know, like, you don't have, like, 3 kick drums hitting at the same time, or you don't have, like, a hi-hat, a tom, and the snare hitting at the exact same time?
Yeah, I try to make it playable for drummers, but at the same time, sometimes it'll be like 6-arm drums just because I'm just because of my ignorance sometimes, because I'll have the hi-hat going, and then I'll have a cymbal hit, and then I'll forget to delete the hi-hat where the cymbal goes. So you'll have a cymbal and a hi-hat playing at the same time, which is impossible unless you're Goro. So
thank you guys so much for joining us on the show tonight. It was fantastic having you and discussing all the metal bands that you guys listen to.
Oh, thanks a lot. It was a blast. It was definitely a blast.
So just to recap, we did have Razor Tongue on tonight. Razor Tongue, thank you.
Yeah!
Steel Strings.
Oh yeah.
And Midnight Melody.
Thanks a lot for having us.
Thanks for being here, guys.
And just before we go into the end of the episode here, we just kind of had a solemn moment to share, and Syx String is going to be leaving us. So, Syx String.
Yes, indeed.
Do you have any final words?
I love you all. I'm sorry. Never forget me.
And what are you off doing?
I am, in fact, a Mormon.
Oh, God. What?
Yeah. Run, everybody. Hide your kids.
Like that Trey Parker and Matt Stone musical?
In a way. Yeah, so anyway, I'm going to be doing that for 2 years. I am leaving on February 12th, so at the time of this airing, I will no longer be with you. So, we've got a replacement.
Aww.
Snow Blitz, a.k.a. Snowy B. Say hi, Snow Blitz.
Hello.
Hey, Snowy B.
What's up, bro?
Hey. What up, Snowy B?
Why did you call me that name? I'm not a rapper. Yeah.
So, Snow, tell us a little bit about yourself and your musical background.
Well, I was introduced in music when I was very, very young, like, about 5 years old. My father's side of the family really loves music, and a lot of acoustic and rock was in my father's side of the family, so they did a lot of that. And I was also in chorus in kindergarten. Apparently, the music teacher really liked my voice for some odd reason, and I got up my first solo in kindergarten. Who knew? But I also played the clarinet for 9 years as well, and that improved my voice as well, because I heard that clarinet somehow massages your throat.
Interesting.
And increases the vocals cords. Yeah, go figure.
So, we've known about this happening for quite a while, and so what have you been doing for the show so far?
Alright, I draw stuff for the newsletter. I've been drawing the guests for about, like, a couple of weeks now, so I don't know, unless you like traditional art or something.
He also did the entire hosts, all the hosts.
Yes, I even also created LSD Larsis that we all make fun of.
Oh, my.
Okay, so stay tuned next week. Until then, check out Everfree Network this weekend. We have Eastern Sounds on Saturday at 1 o'clock p.m., Mixology with DJ One Trick, 6 p.m., and Michelle Krieber with Saturday Night Songs at 9 p.m., all Central. And on Sunday, we have the Blue Screen Bronies at 7 p.m. and Pegasus Sisters Live at 9 p.m. Until next time, this is
Starlight Ironhoof,
Syx String,
Zeta Prime,
Snowblitz,
and Forest Rain, signing off.